a.m., everybody. Tim and Pat with you. We're moving the chains. Sirius XM NFL Radio 88 on a Tuesday. Very fired up. You're hanging out with us. Load up these phones, 877 NFL Kick. Let's bring in our next guest, Pat. Very excited as the New England Patriots are 4-1. They're off to a very, very good start, coming off a big win over the Jets. Next up, the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys 2-2, coming off a bye week. They'll be in New England to play the Patriots. Let's talk to the head coach of the New England Patriots, Bill Belichick, joining us on the program. Coach, how you doing today?
Good, Tim. Good, Pat. How about you?
We're doing great, Bill. Thanks for joining us. You're in the middle of this crazy schedule, and Cowboys are up next. Couple things right off the bat from me. We watched you during the draft. You took the running backs, and Tim and I turned to each other and said, he's building a running game while everyone's thinking pass, and there you were last week, 35 run attempts. Good job.
Well, we had some good production in the running game the last couple of weeks. Good running, good blocking. Our tight ends, our receivers done a good job on that too. That play at the end of the game with 3rd and 4 with the sweep at Ben Jarvis was, really well blocked by the receivers, by Welker and, Gronkowski there outside. So, light pulling. So there's a lot of different elements to it, but, we've been fortunate. We've had some production the last couple of weeks, and as you know, that really is important to balance off your offense.
Love balancing up your offense, Coach, with your 2 tight end packages, and I know you'll even put more out there than that, but Rob Gronkowski and Aaron Hernandez, really impressive. Talk about Hernandez and his knee and what he was able to do the other day. That was fun to watch. Yeah,
it really was. We went into the week not really sure what his availability would be, so we really didn't have a lot in the game plan for him, and he came out to practice on Thursday, was able to do a few things, kind of kept getting better there on the last 72 hours before the game, and kind of each day we put a little bit more in there, feeling that he might be able to handle it, and he came through and not only caught the ball well and takes a lot of coverage with him in the passing game, but he's done a good job in the running game and helped us there too, especially teams that want to play a lot of substituted defensive backs. When we have him and Gronkowski in the game, we've got some ability to run the ball, so that's good too.
Yeah, and it looks like you come out on first down, and if they want to send their base packages out there, you can very easily just turn it up and throw the ball on first down. I think you're one of the better teams in the league at throwing the rock on the early down.
Well, we've got a good quarterback and some good receivers, and usually Tom can find some matchups that he likes. He loves to find them somewhere. So
yeah, he's like a good clamor.
Yeah, you don't have to talk him into many pass plays.
No, and Tim and I talked about this the other day, Bill. I'd love to have your comment. You're 12 personnel with the 2 tights we just mentioned, and you're running back. The biggest problem that guys tell me you cause is that you can get into any formation. You can get into 4 wide, you can get into double tight, you can do almost anything with those guys, and I think that becomes a dilemma for substituting defenses.
Well, when you have versatile, as you know, Pat, when you have versatile players, guys that can, are smart, that can handle different formations, that can, block and can get open and catch the ball, then really that's where you want to be as a coach, and it's the kind of team you want to have on the field. Guys that can do multiple things. So if they take one thing away, you can do something else. Once you get out there and you only have one skill, no matter how good it is, unless it's just at such an exceptional level, other teams are smart enough to figure out what that is and what they have to do and how to play that individual. And the more that you can, as we tell our players, the more you can work on your weaknesses and develop a complete game, then the more valuable you are to us and the tougher you are to defend for the opponent. So, but Rob and Aaron have done a good job of that. They've worked hard on the blocking. They worked hard on the passing game. They're both really smart guys that study and prepare well, and we ask them to do different things, and they're the guys that move around in all the formations and change protections and that type of thing. So they've done a great job of that.
Patriots coach Bill Belichick joining us here on the program, Moving the Chains, Sirius XM NFL Radio 88. Everybody knows the ball is going to go to Wes. It's going to go to him a lot. Bill, the guy almost looks uncoverable, and Tom doesn't miss much. How do those 2 guys just continue to get better?
Well, again, I think both those players are 2 of our hardest working players. They do a good job of preparing and studying film, seeing it with each other, trying to get a feel for what the other guy's thinking. Practice hard on the field, and they've had some opportunities, but, we've gotten the ball to other guys in the passing game too, and really Tom's just looking for the best matchup out there, and whatever that is, that's where it'll go. There's not really any intent to get the ball to one guy or another. It's to kind of take what the defense gives us or throw where they have the fewest number of guys, where our best matchups are, and Tom's done a real good job of that as well.
Hey, Bill, how about an update just on the development of Ryan Mallett? How's he coming along? He's such an impressive guy when he throws the football.
Ryan's doing well. He's getting a great it's certainly great for him to see our other two quarterbacks, Tom and Brian Hoyer, prepare on a daily basis, and then of course he's had an opportunity to go out there and run the scout team plays of up against our first defense. So even though it's not all of our plays, some of them are, and there's certainly elements of the plays that are similar, but he's really working against our first defense every day. Getting their looks, their disguises, their coverages, and things like that. So, he's had a good opportunity to learn and improve and do things off the field that can help him get better, and he's worked real hard at that. So, I think he's making a lot of progress. Fortunately, he hasn't had to play in the games. Our other guys have been healthy, but I'm sure he'll be ready if we need him.
Hey, Bill, one of the things I did this week was start to pay close attention to shotgun around the league, and every team runs it. I remember when the old Bill Walsh disciples wouldn't do it because Bill didn't do it, but every team runs shotgun now. What every team doesn't do, though, is run the ball out of it. They kind of ignore it, and so I went down and looked at it. It was 14% run from shotgun across the league, but that's not the story with you guys. You have developed a run game, and I asked one other head coach about it this week, and he said, yeah, you know what? We all forgot how great Buffalo was back in their heyday of running the ball, zone plays, counter trays, everything out of shotgun. Your thoughts on the run game from shotgun, because you guys you ran it 8 times from shotgun last week, which is significantly larger than most.
Well, I think the big thing is you got to work on it. It's as you know, it's a different element from when the quarterback gets the ball from center and hands it to a back behind him. The timing's different, the angle of entry is different, and I think that the linemen and the backs really, it takes some time to whatever plays you're running. It's a little bit of a different tempo in the running game than it is when you turn around and hand the ball to the guy. It just the entry angles are different. So it's interesting. I think it creates some opportunities, but the execution is, it takes some time and understanding. And believe me, we all go through some bad plays going through that of, it kind of looks the same on paper, but the defense doesn't quite react the same, and the blocking angles are just a little bit different. So, it takes a little time to get used to it, but, we've had some success with it, and we'll just keep working on it, and again, try to stay balanced when we're in that formation. Just as you pointed out, you hate to tell a team before the ball snapped that you're going to do one thing and not another. So hopefully we can continue to balance that up a little bit.
Hey, Coach, I got a question or two on your defense, and I know you got youth on the back end and you've got some injuries, and want to ask you about that. But before we do, a guy who was certainly a defensive guy and we've all talked about the pioneer and everything that Al Davis was as an owner and really the guy when you start thinking about the AFL and the NFL and the merger and everything else. You got a reflection or a comment on, as they like to say out around the NFL, Coach Davis, Al Davis? What do you got on him? Talk about it.
Well, definitely a defensive-oriented coach, owner, commissioner, whatever you want to call him. He's worn a lot of hats, but, yeah, very, very defensive-oriented. When I went out to Oakland after the 98 season to interview for their head coaching position when they hired John Gruden. We spent a lot of time and talking about defensive football, building teams, defensive players, scouting them, developing them, so forth and so on. He has tremendous knowledge of defensive techniques, schemes, and again how to handle different situations on the defensive side of the ball. So I think really he's been the defensive coordinator out there for probably 30 years, de facto. Somebody else had the title, but it really is his defense and his way of playing it. And so he's very knowledgeable in that end of it. It's got a great mind and great understanding of it.
And he will certainly be missed. Tim Brown, we had Tim Brown on the show yesterday. You would have loved this. Timmy Brown was talking about Al grabbing him his rookie year and showing him how to get off press as a wide receiver. He said he had his elbow all up in my ear hole. He was hitting me. You got to do this. It was a great story.
I can imagine. Yeah, I can imagine. Well, I'd say one of the most interesting things about Coach Davis when I've talked to him has been just his overall, knowledge of personnel in the league as well. We've had worked several trades with him, from the Doug Gabriel to Randy Moss to Richard Seymour, right on down the line. But we've got a lot of the conversations where no players were exchanged. You just, talk about different scenarios and so forth. But, he always, the conversation always came around to, I don't want to say obscure guys, but, not the Richard Seymours or the Randy Mosses, but guys on your practice squad, guys that were, maybe you had released and were with another team, and he was getting ready to play that team, and things like that. He has a tremendous knowledge base of players and wanting to know more about their skills and what they could do and what they couldn't do, and how you would attack them or how you would defend them, and based on your in my case, my firsthand knowledge with the guy, and would somebody be available, a guy that I wouldn't even think about bringing up, and that would be on his mind of a player that obviously he had some role on his team that he might have use for him. So fascinating man to talk to, and totally committed to football, and his contributions to the game throughout his entire career have been immense.
Yep, they were. And I got to ask you, since we're on defense, and Al, I want to ask you about your decision this year to go to the 4-3, Bill. And was it because of personnel? But I always thought of you as a 3-4. I've seen you in the hybrid looks, but I always thought of you as a 3-4 guy. Why the 4-3 this year?
Well, we played a mixture of, odd fronts and even fronts, Pat. Just felt like from a starting point, given the, lack of spring opportunities to practice and meet, and a shortened training camp in terms of actual number of practices, that from a teaching standpoint, we felt like there would be more carryover teaching our base defense and our nickel defense really as one front, with a lot of carryover between our run responsibilities, our run fits, and some of our pressure defenses and things like that. And then we transition and build into some of our odd fronts. But I felt like I'm trying to evaluate young players, asking them to learn one system in a 3-4 and then learn another system in nickel, which we, as you know, last year we saw just as much. We were in nickel defense just as much as we were in our 3-4 defense because of teams using multiple receivers on early downs and 2-minute and all those kind of things. So we felt like it would be a better opportunity to evaluate our players and not try to over install and put in a ton of defense. Try to cut it down a little bit and see if we could execute it better. Certainly we have a long way to go, but I do feel like we're making progress, and I think our players, at least understand, what we're doing. And, again, there's so many intricacies to a 3-4 defense that, I just didn't know if we would be ready to handle them this year, and probably wouldn't have been, to be honest with you.
That's a great point. And when you score a bunch of points, as you do, and I think Tom, 13 consecutive over 30 points a game, you're going to play a lot of nickel defense. How's Andre Carter playing for you? Bill, I coached Andre in high school. He's such a good person. You already know that, and I know how excited he is to be back in a four-man front and up there with you guys. How's he doing for you?
He's doing great. Just like you said, Tim, he's so professional. He's a great example for, all of us. Younger players, older players. He comes early, stays late, works hard, is in terrific condition, can run all day, really takes his job seriously, wants to do everything right, very team-oriented. He's been a pleasure to coach, and really he was, a guy that, we looked at pretty closely when he came out of Cal, but, it was 10 years ago when the 3-4 was, really our base defense. It was just hard to find the the right role, the right impact for him in that. And I personally went out there and spent a lot of time with him and loved everything about him except the fit that he would have in the 3-4. And then fast forward a decade later, and we made that decision to kind of transition our front a little bit this year. And he was really the perfect guy for it, because I do think that from a skill set that's what he does best, and that's what we're asking him to do. So it was a great fit, and we got all the character and leadership and work ethics of his game along with it. So it was great.
Yeah, when he was in high school, he was by far the best player. He played at my alma mater out in San Jose. He was by far the best player in the state. But every practice, Coach, he was the first guy on the field. He would carry the bags, and and then he'd carry the bags off the field every day after practice, after he won every sprint. I mean, he's just really, really impressive.
Yeah, he's in great condition. He's got good strength, good power, smart guy. Football's really important to him, and he's a pleasure to coach.
The description fits another guy I like in your team, Sean Ellis. We thought that guy was still had enough gas in his tank. We were pleased that you landed up signing him. Sean brings a lot of those same elements to his game as well.
He sure does, Pat. He sure does. And Sean's played most of his career on the left side, and Andre's played most of his career on the right. So it was really a good match for us to have those two veteran players with not only the quality of play, but the type of individuals that they are, and the leadership, and the toughness and the work ethic and the dependability and just the professionalism that they come in with every day has been great. Along with some of our other players like Vince Wilfork and Mayo and Rob Ninkovich, and younger guys like McCourty and Chung, guys like that. It's really from a team chemistry and communication and working standpoint, it's really been very good. And Sean's added a lot to our team, and so has Andre.
Hey, Coach, last one for me, and we'll get you out of here. We really, really appreciate your valuable time. The key to stopping the Cowboys, are coming off a bye week. We all know it looks like Miles Austin is going to be back. They can throw the football. Just talk about their attack, and defensively, they certainly can get after it as well. Talk about these guys.
Oh, they can. They do so many things well. I mean, offensively, they've got a lot of talent at the skill positions. Good tight end, good running backs, good receivers. They really do a good job there. I've been very impressed with Smith, the rookie right tackle. I mean, he looks like he's going to be a real good one on that offensive line. But you got problems with the running game, screens, tight end, and then of course with Brian and Austin out on the perimeter, that's a problem too. So they're a tough team to stop. They're very well coached, and they do a good job offensively. On defense, again, a lot of problems, but of course it all starts with Ware. I mean, he's as good and dominant as any player that I've seen this year, that I've seen in the last couple of years. I mean, he can do it all: pass coverage, rush, play the runs, explosive, runs plays down from behind, hard to block at the point of attack. Bookended with Spencer. They got good quickness inside. Their linebackers run well. Sean Lee's giving them a lot. And they've been a little banged up in the secondary, but, when they're out there, which it looks like they're going to be, I mean, they got a solid group with, Newman and Jenkins outside, and Sensabaugh and Elam, and, Skandrick is their nickel back. And so they run well. Rob Ryan's scheme is, a good combination of, pressure, man-to-man, zone, with all the different fronts in there. They use a lot of defensive backs. So they give you a lot of scheme problems. They have good players. So that's a lot to prepare for on the defensive side of the ball as well. It's a team we don't know very well. For us, we went from a team that we knew, as well as any team we play. The Jets played them 4 times really in the last 12 months. And, to a team like Dallas that we haven't played in 4 years with new players, new coaches, and the preparation part of it this week is really, a mountain for us to climb. So we're going to have to, work hard to get to know these guys. And again, not only the players, but the different schemes that they use too. They're very well coached.
Thanks, Bill. It's been great talking to you. And get ready for this one. We'll be following you closely.
All right, thanks, Pat. Tim, always good to be on with you guys. Let's move them chains.
Yeah, give us those 2 tight ends. We'll do it all day.
Yeah.
All right.
Gronkowski
Coach.
do it himself.
Bill Belichick right there on the program. Terrific time spent with him. Hope you enjoyed it. We're going to keep it rolling on the other side. Fill up these lines, 877 NFL Kick. Tim and Pat with you. We're moving the chains. Sirius XM NFL Radio, Channel 88.